Hi, my name is Goro Fujita, and in this tutorial I'm gonna cover how to use stops and starts. Make sure to check out my sequences tutorial before watching this session. Stops and starts are used for chapter-based narratives like Beyond the Fence and The Remedy, where you have paginated chapter-based narratives where you want to give the audience time to explore. So the timeline will stop, but animations will stay alive, and then you can at the button press, you can prompt the user to move forward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the title sequence here. I'm going to create another layer here and call it press. This icon here, right? This is the continue icon in Quill Theater. Let's say you want the title sequence to stay until the person presses play. Let me add a little animation here. So for example, for this one, let me get this out of this group first, the press play, so I can animate it before I put it back into the group. So I'm gonna basically hold the first frame for 4 frames or something, then I create an empty frame and hold the empty frame for 4 frames. So let me see, this looks good, and I loop it. So what then happens is like it's blinking, right? So this is like a very easy way to prompt the user. Okay, now I'm gonna push it back into that group so it fades in and then it says press play. But maybe I want the press play to start after the fade. So simply just grab this and then put it after the fade point. What happens, the title fades in and then press play comes in. Maybe I want it a little bit later. So title comes in and then press play. And maybe the title is also animated. So let me move the title out. I'm gonna add maybe 15 frames or something, loop it, and then I'm just gonna nudge it over time. So maybe the title is like moving. Let me hide the other credits and stuff so they don't disturb us. And then maybe I will do some colorful anim brush strokes, making the title beautiful, you know. And maybe there's some leaves falling down or something. Leaves, woo, woo. Okay, so just imagine you can do like a cool title like this, but the problem is obviously once you put it back into the title group, it looks nice, right? But then the title will keep fading out. It keeps continuing with the shot. So what I want is to prompt the audience to press play. So once the press play comes in, I want to put a stop there, right? So the stop keyframes you can only put on the root folder. So if you click on the root, you have start and stop. If I hit stop, you see that there's a keyframe here, right? So you can't put it on any other layers. Only the root layer has start and stop keyframes. Those are keyframes just like transform keyframes that you can move around, right? So for example, if you hit transform, you can also set opacity keyframes and stuff like that. For now, we want to show the action keys. So we have a stop here. What now happens is the title comes in, right? As it hits the stop, it's gonna stop the animation. If I hit play again, boom, it keeps going, right? But what I don't like is that it comes to a halt. So in order to make this an infinite loop, simply make this a sequence. So the group, any group can become a sequence, or a sequence become a group also. So you check the group, right, and make it a sequence. So when you make it a sequence, I go back and I hit play. Then it just keeps going because now the sequence is a nested timeline. Right? And the cool thing is you can also bring in a sound that keeps looping. You can do this by pressing the new sound layer icon up here, and you bring in like a song or something, right? I'm gonna put this into the title sequence. What happens now is like I hit play and you start hearing the music. It comes to a stop, but as you see, because it's in a sequence, it's just keep playing the sound, right? And as you hit play, you would expect maybe the sound will jump back to this point, but it doesn't, right? So this is a big advantage if you have a title screen with a stop in there, you know, and the music will keep going. And as you hit play, it will just pick it up from where it is, and then it will fade it out. nicely, and then it keeps moving on with the shots, right? So for example, if I put the sound down here in shot 1, let me make sure that grab the sound and bring it to the beginning, just like this. And if I hit play, it's gonna go to the stop. I hit press play, and then with the opacity keyframes together, the sound will play, right? And then it will like fade out and then go to the credits. Now, if you want the dancer to keep dancing, what you can easily do is you just click the shot, select the shot 1, and make it a sequence, right? And make it a sequence and then add a stop. Because the reason why I made it a sequence is if it's not a sequence, what happens? The music keeps going, but the animation comes to a stop, right? But to make it like a nested timeline, you have to make it a sequence. So now we have a sequence and stop right there. So after the fade out, the shot will fade in and the guy will keep dancing until you hit play. When the audience hit play, you will hear the music keeps continuing, and then the shot will continue as well. So now the question is, why are there start keyframes, right? So the start keyframes are there for when you want the audience to be able to rewind to specific spots. So for example, right now, if you rewind, you go to the beginning. But if you have a chapter-based narratives where you want the audience to be able to rewind to chapter 5, 4, 3, and such, then you need start points. So the start points usually is best to put after transitions. So for example, I put a start keyframe here, and you can move it wherever you want, right? So you can just grab it and move it. So for example, if you put it before a transition, it's weird because then when you rewind, it jumps back to the title and then it fades in the title. So this is why you want the start keyframe right after the transition, so you go back to the beginning of a chapter. So if you hit playback from here, then you see the dancing character right away. And then, for example, if you want the audience to be able to rewind to the credits and before the fade-in, for example, in this case, you can put another start keyframe here, and if the audience rewinds, they will be able to rewatch the credits. This is how you can use start and stops to your advantage. And if you want to, for example, make a title with a lot of animation, and maybe you want the audience to press continue at their own pace, you can do that with sequences and stops. Also, if you have like instructions, for example, this is best viewed seated, or this is a standing experience, or this experience meant to be a walk around and explore and walk around the space. If you have instructions like that and you don't want it to just do a linear fade in and fade out, and you want to make sure that there's like a prompt to press continue, you can do that with the stops. However, this is not necessary. It's just an optional thing. You can also do like VR comics, such as The Remedy, where you have a paginated piece where you go from page to page at the audience pace. That's when you can use stops too. However, if you do a linear narratives, you can also select all and delete them all, and you don't need that way you don't have any stops, and it will start just like this. Bring in the title, fade out, music comes in, shot 1, shot 2, and so on, and then the credits. So for linear narratives, you don't necessarily need this, but just so you know that this option is available to you. This is for start and stops.